What happened to MKG? Is he just like does he even do anything anymore?
I think he does pop punk. Honestly, yeah.
Yeah, like you just don't go after him.
Years ago, there's a compilation of like other rappers talking about him, and the game was like everyone knows Jay-Z, Lil Wayne, everyone knows you don't go after the white boy, because if you go after the white boy, your career is most likely over. Do you remember? Do you guys ever hear about? It was some rapper Benzino. His daughter's Corlay. I don't. Years ago, Benzino like dissed him, and Eminem, and he worked. I think he either worked for the magazine The Source, and he put a diss track out called The Sauce, and he is from the jump. He's just he eviscerates him to the point where the guy like no one respects Benzino anymore. And Benzino was on that podcast Drink Champs. You know that podcast? And he's sitting there like they're drinking and smoking on the podcast the entire. He's sitting there and he's fucking crying. He's like, my daughter has suffered from my stupidity because I had to go after Eminem. Like it was. I hate to laugh at it, but it's like, bro, you're the one who like. That's how I feel that right now with Kendrick. You're going after him like he'll annihilate you. Like, and it's only getting this much attraction because Drake is one of the best, whether you like him or not. So Kendrick is just dismantling Drake.
But I think Drake thought that like because he was more famous that like his fans would kind of help him out in the war.
Yeah.
But then you're bringing more attention to Kendrick, so more people are listening to Kendrick and hearing that he's just better than you as a lyricist.
And you're a big Drake fan, I assume. I know Derek is too. Drake has been the king of subtle shots. He'll never say your name on a track, but if you decipher it, you know who he's talking about.
The last song of his I remember was Cell Phone.
Drake?
Yeah. Yeah.
His cell phone.
You used to call me on my cell phone. Yeah, he's doing the dance. That's the last. But dude, I don't know any modern music anymore.
Yeah.
Like I don't know the newest music I've been listening to was Eminem's latest album, and then I've gotten into like some of the like this new country like Jelly Roll and who's
you like Morgan Wallen?
Morgan Wallen
or
little
Wallen,
bit,
yeah.
And the other one, the one that's dating Brianna Chicken Fry.
Zach Bryan.
Yeah. I've been getting like look at Megan likes them, so I've been listening to some new country.
He's good.
Jelly Roll's
I
great.
like Zach Bryan.
I want to hang out with Jelly Roll.
Yeah, he seems funny as hell.
But yeah, other than that, like I don't know any.
He was in prison, right? Jelly Roll.
He was in prison. Yeah, he's famous enough now. I'm like, dude, you got to lose some weight. You got to take care of you. Like, we need you now.
He
like
will.
You got to stay around here.
He definitely will at some point. He'll be like 150 pounds and then.
But yeah, I don't listen to I don't listen to Z100 anymore. So
no.
I don't listen to new music.
Very interesting. My niece, she told me she doesn't listen to albums. I was like, "What's some of your favorite albums?" She's like, "I don't really listen to them." And we're all thinking about that. Like, they probably just hear a song on TikTok or on social media, and they just listen to that one song over and over.
Yeah,
so it's a form of a radio. You know how we grew up listening to a song over and over on the radio, but there's all these funny video memes and all that. It's like, they're not going to experience going to FYE, listening to an album. If you like more than 3 songs, you buy that album, right? But even on Spotify, they have everything. But she's like, yeah, I don't really.
I think albums are done in that sense. Like, I don't think we're going to see any more, like, great albums where maybe we will, but like where it's 4 or 5 of the songs from this guy were on like that one album. Like Led Zeppelin 4, or any of the Pink Floyd albums, or like Hotel California. These albums where it's like. You'll know
from new artists,
Fleetwood Mac's Rumors, or like Eminem, like Recovery, or the Eminem show. Like 4 or 5 of the songs entered like the zeitgeist of the era. I don't think because to tell you that I couldn't tell you one Cardi B song, and she's been famous now for like 5-6 years. She's been like super famous.
Yeah,
not one of her songs has entered the zeitgeist of the culture.
Is it our age, or is it?
It might be, but like my parents have like definitely heard an Eminem song.
Yeah,
like, it's between TV, a commercial, a movie, whatever on the radio. Like they've heard one.
Yeah.
But maybe because everyone is in their own little zones now of things, with the algorithms, it's like you're only kind of procured your own thing.
There's something great though about like looking at Rumors or Zeppelin 4, and you see. I heard 5 of these on the radio growing up with my parents. Like 5, but like the entire album is great. But like they had 5 hits off of one album.
Yeah, I mean, dude,
and that's very tough. I think that's very
Thriller.
tough.
Like almost
yeah.
every Michael Jackson song was off of Thriller.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he still had some other great albums. But let's see the album. So Thriller released in 1982. Billie Jean, Beat It, Wanna Be Starting Something, Human Nature, Pretty Young Thing, and Thriller. The only song on here that I don't know off the top of my head is The Girl Is Mine.
I've heard of it, but yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
And how many songs are on that album? Like 11? If that?
9.
Nuts.
The Girl Is Mine was something he did with Paul McCartney. But, I mean, dude.
He took his time to make 9 great.
Beat It, Billie Jean, and Thriller are on the same album.
Yeah.
Those are all 3. If you had to pick like Michael Jackson's song, it's one of those 3.
If you do a survey, go up to 50 random people, name me a Michael Jackson song.
It's good. 90%. It's one of those 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. If somebody wants to say, like Pretty Young Thing or what was the Free Willy song? Hold Me, and then he like did the music video where had the white shirt flowing in the wind.
remember the black and white.
Yeah.
Just because that music video was great.
And I think Slash did the guitar for that.
Yeah. You've heard that story,
Bad.
right? Yeah.
Like Bad was a really good song.
Have you heard that story about Michael I think Michael Jackson called Slash to play guitar on that, and Slash at first hung up on him because he thought it was a prank call. Because he's like, why the hell does Michael Jackson want?
I mean, dude, I'm pretty sure everyone Michael Jackson called probably thought it was a prank call.
Yeah. Yeah, the voice, yeah.
Hey,
but
Slash.
No. I can't do it.
Want to be in my music video? Michael Jackson, tremendous talent. But yeah, I mean, again, maybe it's because I'm not following music the way I used to. I mean, I follow my groups, like I follow Coed and Cambria still. They're still releasing albums. But that's the way I find out. Is like I find out like when my groups are releasing new music. But there's no like I'm listening to Z100 on my way to class and I hear the new Rihanna track and I'm like, oh, let me go check out this album. Or like, oh, who's this singing this song? Let me go check this out. Like that doesn't, or or I'm at the bar or the club and you hear the song playing. Oh, what's this song? Yeah, it doesn't exist.
I wonder
anymore.
when things kind of shifted because I have bands I grew up in high school with who are still touring, still putting out new music. The Beatles were around for 9 years, famous for 9 years. Zeppelin was famous for about 10 years. Obviously, Zeppelin had tragedy while they were still a band. Beatles decided to break up, but there was just so much great music in a decade. So, like for me, if Taking Back Sunday comes out with a new album, I think I'm still nostalgic for Tell All Your Friends, their first few albums, Where You Want to Be, because that's when I discovered them. Like that was the album I discovered, right? Same with like Green Day or Blink-182. Like I want this. Like it's cool to see them still touring, but like I think I want that like need for like, oh, I want them to sound older, but they evolve like most bands. I don't know if people our parents' age really ever had to, with the exception of like Springsteen, who's still doing stuff, but Zeppelin and Beatles, if you think about like their shelf life in the grand scheme of things was very short. Yeah. Paul McCartney went on to do single and stuff.
But everyone's like that. My favorite band probably, that I kind of like was in from the start and like listened to was Coed and Cambria.
Yeah.
And I love all their new stuff. But if you ask 99% of people who have heard of Coed and Cambria, hey, like, what's a song it's like Favorite House Atlantic.
That's it, yeah.
Or like one of the ones from like their second album in 2007. They don't know any. Most bands have, let's say if you think about it, like a 10-year period where bands and singers have a 10-year period like where what they're releasing is relevant.
Yeah.
There are some people who can like circumvent that, like Eminem releasing his newest album because he hasn't released one in a while.
Yeah.
And because of where he is, like if Jay-Z decided to like release a new album, it would be huge.
But people probably won't understand it because he's rapping about rich people things
rich
now.
guy
Like
shit.
like owning art and, you know, vacationing
Well,
and
that's
you
the thing,
know,
and like, you know, I give credit to artists that, you know, they've worked their ass off and they reach those places, especially the ones that come from like a, uh, you know, a harder life. But I think that's where most of the music stops being relevant. Is like, we can't relate to you anymore. Like, music is for the masses,
Yeah.
and we're like, that's why I can still relate to Coheed and Cambria. They're like famous, but they're their own small famous. They don't own mansions and all
Yeah.
this stuff. Like, Jay-Z puts out a new album. Who the fuck can relate to what he's singing about?
no one. Maybe his
Like,
wife.
Blue Ivy is going to be in the new Lion King movie. Like,
Yeah.
you're not, and we're happy for your success, but we don't want to listen to a song about it.
Yeah, and I think he's almost 60. No one's gonna want to hear.
Yeah,
it,
we
you
want to
know?
hear songs about success in terms of personal triumphs, like, you know, getting over addiction or overcoming tragedy. We don't want to, oh, now I'm here and I'm the richest guy in the world and I run the Super Bowl halftime show.
Yeah.
You know, like, a lot of music, especially I would say, and I am no expert. Look at me, I'm not an expert in hip hop. I'm wearing Amazon shoes. All right. But I feel like a lot of what is able to connect people to that music is the struggle of whatever your upbringing and your life has been. And
What was interesting about Eminem? I feel like Eminem could relate to a lot of people who listen to like metal music,
Yeah.
or, you know, because he kind of had that whole.
he was angry.
Yeah, he was angry. He was an angry young man, and he
Great
is
Billy Joel song.
here to make a statement. And people were saying, "Don't buy his music because it has a lot of profanity." I remember I wanted to buy, I think, Slim Shady, like one of his first albums, and my mom's like, "No, you can't buy it." Then, like years ago, I think when he put out either Relapse or Recovery, he went on 60 Minutes. My mom watched him. He's like, "Wow, like he's a really like." He has it all together. I was like, yeah, do you remember when you didn't let me buy? Like, you know,
That's exactly.
I was 12 or 13, but
I try to explain a lot of the songs on Recovery to my mom. Like, because that's when I I liked him like in elementary school and like middle school, but like only, you know, I wasn't really buying albums at the time, so I would hear
was Recovery
whatever.
when we were in college?
I was in college.
Yeah.
I was like a freshman or sophomore in college when Recovery came out. Just gonna stand.
Yeah, no, it's so good.
Oh man,
him and Rihanna.
I used to rap. I know that whole song.
Really?
I used to do the whole rap. If I was a thinner, I would have gone for him for Halloween. But yeah, so like that's think about somebody who's had like hits beyond 15 years. Like relevant. Oh, dude. Well, he had this one hit in 1960, and then he had another huge hit in like 1985.
Yeah.
They're very few and far between.
Yeah.
There's probably some. I'm trying to really think of one off the top of my head. Michael Jackson, to a degree, because he was with the Jackson 5, so he was like a little kid, and then, you know, he grew up. Now there's guys who stay super popular. Billy Joel, for instance, just did over a decade every week, or like one weekend a month, or once a month at Madison Square Garden. Every show sold out.
Yeah.
But he was playing literally his greatest hits album.
Yeah.
That I used to listen to.
Was second nature
I used to listen to that album in like the late 90s with my mom, and then he would just play that out. There was no new stuff. You know, it wasn't. But that's the thing. At what age, or how many years in the public eye do you go to a concert and you want to just hear the hits? Because there was a time when I would go see Coheed and I just wanted to see their new stuff. I don't want you to play Favorite House Atlantic. I want you to play your new album. But then it gets to a point where you're like, oh, like, why? He's not going to play. You know?
Yeah.
Whatever.
There's been a few concerts I went to this year where I saw bands that I grew up listening to. And it was a mixture of older hits and like some of their newer stuff. Or if they've been around for 20-something years, some albums maybe I didn't listen to that came out in 2012 or 13.
Right.
That, you know. But I think when you 2 years ago, I went to go see Newfound Glory, like one of my favorite bands. They played their first two albums back, like front and back, like back to back. So like that was good for me. You know, I didn't really get into their stuff like third, fourth, fifth album. So when you have a band come out and they're going to do a mixture of stuff, I think you feel nostalgic about stuff. But when you know like they're playing it in order and you've listened to that album in order, you're
you
like
know exactly
ready
what's
for
coming
it. Yeah,
next.
you're like
Exactly.
ready for it.
Like I saw the Eagles about a year and a half ago.
That must have been awesome.
It was sick.
Yeah.
But they literally played 2 albums that night. They played all of Hotel California,
Okay.
the album, because it was only like 5 or 6 songs. They took a little break, and then they literally played their greatest hits album, which I think is the top 5 best-selling album of all time. So it was plus like a couple songs from like some of the guys who, like I think his name is Joe Walsh. Some of the guys who weren't in were like popular but weren't in original Eagles but are now playing with the Eagles. They would play some of their hit, and it was all those were all songs I knew too.
Yeah, because Joe Walsh had his own.
Yeah. What was the one that he had? It was in a Rick and Morty episode. I can't remember the name of it, but he played. So there was still a familiarity there. But yeah, I wonder if there's there's got to be somebody should put together like statistics of like the top 50 best, like most popular artists of the past 50 years and when all of their number one hits were in relation to their career. And you would see that it has to be 90% or within the first 10 years.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really trying to think. I mean, the only reason I think Eminem was able to carry with his latest album is because he resonates a lot with millennials, and unlike a lot of previous generations, because we grew up still with social media and we're still active on social media, we were able to like push this to be big. Whereas, for my parents, if in 1995 the Rolling Stones came out with a new album, there wasn't a bunch of like 38-year-olds who could like help make that album. There wasn't the connection between all of them.
It was people their age trying to that have to go out and
the
listen
radio
to it.
wasn't playing it was only playing whatever Ace of Base.
Yeah.
What do you think about it? Are you an Oasis fan?
I like some of their songs.
I know 2 of their songs.
Yeah.
People are talking about this online like it is the biggest thing ever, and I'm like, I know Wonderwall and the one other one. I don't even know the name of it, but like I recognize it if I hear it.
I think it's becoming big because the brothers had a massive falling out, and they're like, they're never going to come back together. And then for some reason, they're coming back. I don't mind their music. I have this weird thing where I don't tend to like. For me, I'm going to get a lot of shit for this. Casimir and like Stairway to Heaven are not like my go-to Zeppelin songs. They're amazing. They are phenomenal songs. But I think there are better songs in their catalog that really define
Give me one.
Zeppelin. Oh man. Shit, man. The Rain song is a beautiful song. I think man, Black Dog, even Rock and Roll. Immigrant Song is such a badass song, right? And you like, I'm not a musician by any means, but like a lot of drummers just love what Bonham has done on that song. Now I know Stairway is
Moby Dick,
yeah. I know Stairway is Dazed and Confused, Babe I'm Gonna Leave You. I know Cashmere and Stairway is like that's Zeppelin, that's what defines Zeppelin, and also it was always on the radio, always.
Yeah.
So like for me, Wonderwall, to me, I know that's Oasis, that's Oasis. There's all these funny memes and all that stuff. But I've heard like Champagne Supernova by them.
That's the other one I know.
I like that one. They have a song called Married with Children, which is just a fun song. But I mean, I think it's just so overplayed. So it's kind of like, all right, but I know but I also have watched so many College Humor videos of them destroying Wonderwall to the point where it's like it's tough for me to listen to it without seeing these videos and all that.
I wonder what that song was when like our parents were in college. Like, what was the one that like acoustic guitar guys? It had to be some kind of, maybe it was the Beatles, but like I mean I'm thinking some kind of
The Who?
They didn't really do like a lot of soft. I'm thinking more like a Simon and Garfunkel or a James Taylor.
Neil Young. Yeah.
Neil Young.
I think you're right. James Taylor.
Yeah.
James Taylor
would have been a good one.
Yeah.
James Taylor was a good one. I'm a big Zeppelin fan.
Yeah.
That's why I like what's the Crown Heads one?
Oh, the Four Kicks.
No, the other one.
Oh, Headley Grange.
Yeah.
Four Kicks.
I still like Four Kicks.
Four Kicks is based off of Kings of Leon.
Kings of Leon, yeah. But yeah, I just, it's interesting because I feel like, listen, we had a lot of different things growing up than like our parents and previous generations, but I feel like we saw that last batch of normalcy, like so many things that were the norm for 50 years, since the end of like World War II, were still the norm when we were kids, and then slowly like have faded out in the past 25 years. But I definitely remember TVs that only had a knob on it.
Yep.
Like if you weren't rich, like you definitely had a TV that had a knob on it. I remember antennas. I remember landline phones with the cord. I remember just the radio, FM radio. Things that I'm trying to think of a ton of difference between, what is it, Gen Y was before us, or are we Gen Y? Who's Gen X?
We're millennials. Gen X is before us.
So Gen X. So Gen, like, we didn't have a ton of difference from Gen X, except maybe we had more access to like video games. They had to go to arcades. We had them in the house. We started having computers, but not a ton of difference between us and them.
You think about mainstream things, movies and music, CDs, not, Netflix coming in the mail, right? Like, but Blockbuster. Yeah. It was this, the generation either, 10 years younger than us, where they had everything, but now it's everything in the sense of, I guess, for ease, right? Like growing up with streaming, growing up with not experiencing certain things. And I look at it like...
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the girls that like we work with that are like 10 years younger than us, like 25.
Yeah.
When they're like coming of age, like 10, 11 years old, it's just iPods.
Yep.
Or iPhones. Like they didn't have... I had a Walkman and then a Discman, and we would go on long road trips, and I would bring my big zipper with like CDs in it.
And I wonder if...
surprising amount of Backstreet Boys and Cher. A lot of Backstreet Boys and Cher growing up.
I wonder if, kids even like 20 years younger than me, like who are in high school now, like, are they never knew it, right? Maybe their parents can be like, oh, back in the day. They're not like pining for how life was in the mid 2000s. I remember being young and like hearing stories from like my uncle and my parents about just how the 70s and 80s were. And I was like, that's just so cool. Like Woodstock, right? Like driving movie theaters.
Woodstock sounds like a nightmare.
No,
I'm not doing that.
The experience,
hippie fest for 3 days, not doing
the
it.
experience.
The experience,
the music, the musical acts, I think, right?
Right.
But I don't know if anyone...
My brother went to a drive-through theater. He saw Waterworld at a drive-through theater.
That's pretty cool.
It had to be like whenever that movie came out, 97 or something like that. But yeah, like
But the releases of Jaws, Star Wars, like these movies, I'm not...
Listen, we had Titanic. Titanic was big.
Yeah.
We had the Star Wars prequels, which were... that helped get our generation into Star Wars.
Yeah.
Because without the connection of social media... all we had was like a few dads being like, this was really cool.
Yeah, sit down and watch it.
When you would watch the old VHS of Star Wars in 1998, it was like, this is fun. But having the prequels come out right at our formative
remastered
years
and everything,
and then the helped like this Star Wars explosion that you
I remember seeing Empire Strikes Back in the movie theaters, and I was just like, wow, like, oh my God.
Yeah. Megan makes fun of me because she's like, I feel like, she's like, you watch movies like more than once? I'm like, yeah, like there was nothing else to do. So I would rent them. Like if I went to a new movie. What does she mean by that? Like, does she watches a movie once, and then on very rare occasion, unless it's like a seasonal movie, on very rare occasions will she ever watch it again. She's like, I've seen that.
Even her favorite movie.
Her favorites she will, or if it's something I haven't seen, like for a TV show like Bridgerton, she rewatched with me. But like the other night, we came back. We had a family party, and then we came back and we got Chinese food, and then it's a core memory now with her, and we watched Jumanji in my room. The original, the OG.
Okay.
And
has she seen it?
She's seen it. She had seen it, years ago. But I'm like, I'm gonna watch this again this week. I know I'm gonna rewatch it. She's like, really? You just watch it? I'm like, so? When I would rent a movie as a kid, because I rented movies every week, every Friday night, my parents would
You'd have to get your money's worth.
I would do it. I would watch it Friday night, and then I would get up early Saturday because everyone else is still sleeping. I'd watch it again. Then maybe I would go in like the spare room we had that had like it had like a TV VCR, like 1 unit. I'd watch it a third time. Like I would watch it multiple. Dude, I remember one time, I must have been in late middle school, early high school. I remember I was playing Tomb Raider on the PC, and it was like parent-teacher conferences. So we had like it was some kind of teachers convention. We had like two half days in a row.
Yeah.
And I remember like I would go right upstairs. I would eat lunch in the computer room. I would be on the computer playing Tomb Raider, and on a little TV here, I had a copy of Zoolander that I rented. I watched it 5 times in a day. It would end, and I would just rewatch it. I did the same thing even later in life when I was in college. And I did it with Watchmen.
Oh yeah,
I rented Watchmen, and I just watched it like 5 times in a weekend.
That movie, yeah.
Do I remember I had a portable DVD player. It was like my big Christmas gift one year.
Oh wow! So you brought that thing everywhere.
I brought it every road trip. I'm watching full movie.
Yeah.
Now I have access to literally anything I want to watch forever.
That's interesting. Jess can watch Titanic whenever. Like she could pop it on. Horror movies she could pop on whenever, any time of the year. I feel like I hold myself back from being like, let me just watch The Dark Knight all weekend, or The Birdcage, or like Ace Ventura, like some of my favorites. Like because I think I could just watch them. Like Rush Hour. Every time I see Rush Hour like on TV, even if it's commercials, it's staying on.
Right.
Like just. There's certain movies like that, but I could rewatch movies. I wish I rewatched more movies like my grandparents showed me, because they showed me some classics.
Right.
But I don't remember. I don't remember Citizen Kane. Like I watched it when I was a kid. I don't remember that, or like just some other, like some it's like Get Hot or some
slow.
Other. It's a slow burn for sure.
Great, but it's so slow. I am a big old movie fan. I've seen them all. That is one where people are where I'm like, yeah, you're not. Yeah, it's not terrible if you miss it. Like you need to watch like Casablanca. You need to watch the Citizen Kane. Is just.
Do you notice like if your parents they like? I know you and I are a little different because we love movies, but like I feel like my dad says every time Casablanca comes on, he has to stop what he's doing. Like they just pine over movies, and I don't know too many movies that have come out recently where people are just like, I need to stop what I'm doing and watch it.
The closest I got recently was Deadpool. I made sure to go watch. Before that, Oppenheimer. Like there's been a few recently where I'm like, I'm going to go watch this movie
in the theater. Yeah, that's different.
Theater,
yeah.
And like
that's our version now, I guess you could say. Like, because going to the movies is such a. I don't want to say chore. It's just it's an expensive hobby now.
It's really not that. I mean, listen. Is it overly expensive? Sure.
And it depends on when you go. I don't mind going to a early movie for like a cheaper ticket. Not a lot of people. Not a lot of people are there.
Your ticket, and listen, is the ticket $12, $15 now? Yeah, but you're getting a personalized assigned seat that's a recliner.
Yeah.
Like,
there's beer at the theaters now.
They had to charge the tickets more because they had. Dude, I remember a movie theater, like a packed movie theater, they would be like, a couple of 100 people in there.
Yeah.
Like when I saw Titanic, they were literally selling tickets for people to sit in the aisle to watch this movie. There was 200 people in that theater. Now, like a Cinemark over in Willowbrook, maybe it holds like 65.
Yeah,
because it's there's a space. So you got to charge him more, which is fine. Like I'll do it.
Is it that too? Is it where they have like 14 theaters now? Because back then, I wasn't, I guess, paying attention. I didn't remember a movie theater having like 14 to 16 theaters in it, right?
Well, they used to have small movie theaters.
Yeah,
like they used to have the Kevin Smith's.
Yep,
like
Smod Castle.
Yeah, they would only have like five screens.
If that, yeah.
Now like they're playing Infinity War on 4 screens in a multiplex.
Yeah.
But we did not a slick of cigar talk today, but that's fine. Sometimes it's just about hanging out and having a cigar.
Let me ask you something. Yeah. How has the revival been?
It's been moving, man. It's been moving. You guys need to check it out.
Yep.
Need to check it out. It's, more than 1/5 of our stock in a week.
That's great.
So like 20% gone in week 1. for a brand that we had to build from scratch. Like no one knows. It's not like attached to a popular brand. So I appreciate those who supported and enjoyed it. I encourage people to give it a shot. If you like smooth, creamy, mellow, like that style cigar, I know you're going to buy another one. Like I know it. No one's going to buy that one time.
No.
If you're a regular cigar smoker, you're going to buy it multiple times. I am smoking the new Cro-Magnon PA Broadleaf. When I say new, I mean the new version of the Cro-Magnon, but this PA Broadleaf. And I don't know if I've said this on a show yet, but just really quick as we finish up, I think this puts the old Cro-Magnon to shame. I enjoy this 10 times better.
Why is that? Is it
it's
a different
so much
size?
smoother. It's nuanced. It's more creamy. I think it's 10.
Is there a different blend? Is it a different blend?
They changed up the wrapper. It's not Connecticut anymore.
Okay, yeah.
And I usually find Pennsylvania broadleaf wrapper to be a little harsher, a little rougher, a little more smoky than Connecticut. This is, you would have fooled me. This is
just smooth,
delicious. Yeah. And it's got this really interesting, everyone I've smoked, this almost like purple hue on the ash that, I don't know, man. But they've been, everyone I've smoked has been phenomenal. So
every time I see a RoMa Craft, they're always in like different sizes.
Yeah, they go.
This looks like the more of the normal size, like a normal size,
a big like 6x60 box press. Yeah, they're all over the place.
Or a little like bullet, like a little like
exactly
like the Baca was like that.
Yeah,
I'm smoking the Joya de Nicaragua Cinco de Cinco. It was in this month's Cigar of the Month pack. Really good. You mentioned it too. The color scheme. I really love the color.
Green pops.
Yeah, green
I
with
wish guys
some
would
white
use
and gold.
more. Like I don't want to overuse it, but like use more oranges and greens. Like not everything has to be just like sleek black or whatever or like white. Like use some different colors in there. Get it going.
Yeah, I think the orange on the JR 50th on the JR Revival box and the band. I think the band specifically, it complements the wrapper of the cigar so well.
That was our creative agency. I don't want to drop any names, but they did. I worked with them for you were in some of those meetings. I worked with them for like over 6 months just on the design portion of this.
I remember.
I'm really happy it's turning out so well. But all right. So we appreciate everyone listening. Next episode, because it should be next week.
Yep.
We're gonna have a special guest in, do a little round table. With some folks, it should be a lot of fun. That one's gonna
be crazy. I love it.
Should be a lot of fun. So
I'll be behind the camera, just enjoying everything. That's gonna.
Well, we're gonna have some people who have never been on the podcast before that I like.
Yeah, I'll be interested.
That I'm gonna have to.
I'm excited.
I'm gonna have to poke and prod to get something out of. But thank you all very much for watching. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. And as always, keep it lit.